Welcome back, listeners. My name is Larry Kallevig, founder and CEO of the Haven Financial Group. And if you're just tuning in, you're listening to the Haven Financial Group radio show, where weekly we discuss crucial retirement and financial topics, all these retirement puzzles that really can make the difference between just surviving retirement and really thriving through those golden years, which we truly hope they are. So if you're tuning in and listening, if you want more information about these topics that can really change your financial future or your retirement future, give us a call at 612-504-8400 today, next week, next month, whenever it is, or simply visit us online, do your due diligence, havenfinancialgroup.com. We're a major part of the community. We have a great client appreciation event coming up in August. We love to give back. My wife loves to plan events. It's not just all about these stuffy retirement topics. You got to have fun with some of these retirement topics as well. And I'll tell you this, Lance Larsen is our CPA. He likes to have fun, and I've never seen any CPA in my life that really prides himself on making sure Uncle Sam doesn't get any more than they rightfully deserve. Would that be accurate, Lance?
Absolutely.
I believe that is accurate. Yes, Lance Larsen, CPA, he is with us today. We're talking taxes, something that most of us don't want to really talk about, but you know what? It's something we all need to be aware of because, as they said, nobody's looking to pay extra taxes. We all get that we have to pay our share, but nobody really wants to pay extras. We want to wrap up the show today by talking about some strategies and how there could be opportunities in them, and at the same time could be risk. Lance, one of the things I think people don't realize, I think they think, oh, I'm going to get to my retirement years and then I'm not going to owe any taxes and it's just going to be great and I'm not going to have to worry about that. But that's really not true. Retirement brings about taxes.
Exactly, Kim. So no matter what stage in life that you're in, if you have income, the IRS has the code to tax that income. Now, the question is going to be is what type of income do you have? How much of the income do you have? And then how much are you going to pay based upon all those factors? So one of the biggest opportunities that I hear from people is, Lance, I'm getting out of Minnesota and I'm moving to Florida. That's probably the one I hear the most, but other people say I'm moving to Texas, Tennessee, under these states that have no state income tax. That's fine. But you have to understand that what do you have here in Minnesota? What are you giving up? What are you going to get when you move down to one of these states? Oh, I forget. The newest one is South Dakota, right next door to us. Mm-hmm. But that's where you look at Minnesota. We have a lot of great parks. As much as we dislike all those orange cones out there, we actually do have a pretty good road system here. When you move down to these other places, how are the states taking care of all their infrastructure? How are they paying for it? One of the fun things that I noticed when I went to visit a brother-in-law down in Tennessee, they have a really high sales tax rate. That's something that kind of took me by surprise when I was going to go buy some groceries there with them. When we go here in Minnesota, we have no tax on our groceries. We don't have tax on clothing. So when you look at that one, that yes, we have the opportunity to not pay any state income taxes, but the risk comes down is there more consumption going on? Or are you going to get hit with more sales tax there?
Sure. Absolutely. So moving to a lower tax state isn't always the answer. Maybe in some situations it is, but not always. Let's talk about the taxation. We've talked about 401ks. We talked about IRAs. What about, and for that matter, we talked about Social Security, but what about things like pensions or those who maybe have some other form of income? What kind of tax strategies does one need for that?
So again, we look at what is the source of this income. So a lot of the pensions these days are going to be coming from state sources. So you work for the state of Minnesota, you'll get a pension. A lot of teachers, they'll get a pension. For people who are in Wisconsin and they get a state pension, well, the state pension isn't taxable in Wisconsin from there. When you are in Iowa, pension income is not taxable down there either. Mm-hmm. with just regular investment accounts. So depending on what you're invested in, you can live in Minnesota and get invested into Minnesota municipal bonds. They may not pay the most, but all the interest that you earn on those municipal bonds, it's all tax-free.
Mm-hmm.
So that's where you look at it, like, what am I looking at for income? What am I investing in? What is your net realization going to be after taxes? Which is probably one of the reasons why when you look at muni bonds, that they don't pay quite as much as some of the other bonds out there that are, because the taxes that you have to pay on those muni bonds is going to be zero versus all the other bond interest, it is going to be taxable.
Sure. So what I hear you saying, Lance, is taking a look at your investments and maybe moving them around, adjusting them to help you with tax, with that tax strategy. Even maybe sometimes in situations, taking a loss to offset something else can be beneficial.
Exactly. And we also want to take the time to match up the investments into the proper tax category.
Mm-hmm.
So people will take their after-tax money and say, hey, I need to go invest this. So they'll go buy a CD. Well, the CD is just going to give them a straight interest income. Well, we can maybe do something better where you can go take that money and put it into a brokerage account. And then you go vest that into some stocks or some other bonds there. Okay. Well, what we see a lot is people are taking this money and they're invested into mutual funds. That's not a bad investment option, because mutual funds, they've historically have done fairly well. They're diversified, so they have risk. They minimize the risk on that. But what we see a lot is because we don't control those mutual funds, there's somebody else who's actively doing something. They'll create capital gain distributions that we have to pick up as taxable income for us. So having mutual funds in a non-qualified or an after-tax account may not be the smartest move, versus if you have those mutual funds invested in your IRA, which is all 100% pre-tax, we don't recognize any tax implications until we take the money out.
Mm-hmm.
That would be the better place to hold those mutual funds in that IRA or their 401ks.
Sure.
So you want to match up the investment type in the different tax buckets that you have.
Yeah. It's confusing, and it's really something that calls for a partner who understands that, first off, the tax code, most importantly, and secondly, can look at, it seems to me, your entire investment across the board and recognize what's a positive for you at certain times in your life and what might not be.
Kim, if I could add, these are the conversations we're having on an ongoing basis. I'll give you an example. Just this last week, I had clients of mine in. They both were custodians for the Lakeville schools. They both retired at the end of the school year about a month or two ago. And they had the same questions that a lot of people. Mm-hmm. Where do I start drawing from? I don't get a paycheck anymore. Now where do I draw from? We literally send out millions of dollars the 1st and 15th throughout the course of a month for retirees that have retired. They're not getting a paycheck, which is a big adjustment for a lot of people. Where do we start drawing from in the most tax efficient way possible? These are why we want folks to have all the options: a non-qualified brokerage account, good liquidity in the bank, money in the stock market, investments that have principal protection. We want them in IRAs, pre-tax, Roth, non-qualified. Why? Because now you have all the options to choose from. We don't want to deplete the savings. We can access the brokerage account, but we want to fill up the 12% ordinary income tax bracket. Lance will attest here, as we approach the fourth quarter every year, we're going to have conversations with everybody we work with to say, okay, what does your income look like for 2026? Oh, that gives you X amount of dollars to do an IRA distribution to maybe replace some of the depleted savings account, or an IRA to Roth conversion so we don't miss those opportunities. Or maybe you have some non-qualified stocks or equities that you maybe inherited. They have a low cost basis. Now they're worth a lot more. But, long-term capital gains, 0, 15 to 20%. No, if you're not outside the 12% ordinary income tax bracket, long-term capital gains is 0. Maybe that's where you should start drawing from tax efficiency, making sure that, we worked hard for every dollar, making sure we're efficient with it to make sure it's going into your bank account, not the Fed's bank account.
Mm-hmm. Well, if anything we've talked about resonates with you at home, or if you have questions associated with anything retirement related, but certainly related to taxes, give the folks at Haven Financial Group a call. That number is 612-504-8400. 612-504-8400. Let them know you heard us here on the radio. You'd like to set up a free consultation. Come into the office, meet the folks there at Haven Financial Group, see if they're a good fit for you and if you're a good fit for them. Again, one more time, that number is 612-504-8400. Lance, this has been incredibly informative. Thank you so much for being a part of the show today.
Thanks for having me, Kim.
Yeah, thanks, Lance. And Kim, always good to be with you. A question I'll pose to the listeners is, do you have all the retirement puzzle pieces? Let us help you put the puzzle together. And if you're young or older or mature or whatever the right word is, we want to help you. Look forward to visiting more with you next week, Kim. Have a great week.